This content is for informational purposes only. You should not construe any such information or other material as legal, tax, investment, financial, or other advice. Nothing contained on here constitutes a solicitation, recommendation, endorsement, or offer by Draper Goren Holm or any third-party service provider to buy or sell any securities or other financial instruments whatsoever.
I'm bringing out the entire bottle of control.
They're all exactly the same.
Crypto art, and then what it really is an NFT.
Wow.
Eddie wants to slap the bag.
So this is the next best thing.
DeFi is going to be a bubble.
It's provably scarce.
With Mad Dog.
Crypto, gold, and silver.
Transparent substance.
Take my money, start a war with it.
Without further ado,
cheers to you, brother.
Get shit done.
Because the system has to collapse before that.
Mark Corona.
Cheers. I feel much better now.
Cheers.
I'm like butchering this. Yo, Boozer Nation. Welcome to Blockchain and Booze session 50. I don't want to talk too much because tonight's guest is one that I was kind of fangirling over in the green room. And I'm very, very excited to have him on. I know a lot of my family, we spent time growing up watching Shark Tank, watching the Mavs, watching Mark and all that. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring up our guest so we can get right to the point. Mark Cuban, welcome to Blockchain and Booze. Oh, we caught you in the moment.
Caught me, you got to get from my BSB.
Nice. Cheers. Is that Texas based? Where is that?
Oregon based, but Texas sold. It's just good. It's kind of like step up to Goldschlagers and just like fireballs. It's just like the next level up, a lot smoother.
Cool. Well, cheers to you. Thank you for being on session 50, and you got your water. Smart, your chaser. Mm-hmm. Cool, man. Well, let's get to the point, right? First of all, how are you feeling? How are you doing?
Good. I mean, I feel better now, right?
Excited to be on.
Well, yeah, I wasn't planning that. So yeah, I feel good.
Good. Excited to be on Blockchain and Booze?
I've been dreaming about it. It's just like a dream come true. It's
That's
right up there, win a championship, Blockchain and Booze. It's just like
right next. Sometimes I'd even say Blockchain and Booze is a little bit up
I got that trophy up over this shoulder, but over whatever. That shoulder, right? And it's just like I was gonna take it down and just screenshot this and just frame it.
Nice. I love it. All right, let's get right to the point, okay? You've been super vocal about crypto lately. It's amazing. Crypto Twitter is going mad over it. So I want to take a couple steps back really quick, okay? And to kind of paint a picture of where we are today in the grand scheme of things, okay? You started off as being a pioneer in the audio streaming world back in the 90s with broadcast.com, right? Everybody knows that. Tell me, how does that period compare to where we are today in crypto?
The exact same thing. And it's not so, if you look at the early days of the internet started like in the 60s and 70s for defense department purposes. And then in the 80s, it picked up more for universities. And then in the 90s, once you saw Mosaic from Mark Andreessen, then it really took off. And crypto is kind of the same thing. The early days of Bitcoin kind of got it started and got people excited. And then you saw Ethereum and then the ICOs. And now you've seen, smart contracts and other improvements come along. And that's really what triggered it. Smart contracts in particular on blockchain is just a game changer and puts it in the middle of everything.
So are you seeing the same level of skeptics when it comes to you pitching this stuff to other people? Like, are you feeling the same level of, are you crazy for jumping into this and being such a proponent?
Yeah, of course. I mean, look, when we started streaming and nobody was doing it, I used to try to have to explain it. And people were like, dude, I'll just turn on the TV. What the hell do I need? Because back then you had to have a PC with a modem. You had to download a TCP IP client. You had to download a media player, and then you had to make the whole thing work. So it was a pain in the ass, just like getting a wallet, and trying to connect with your bank or credit card or whatever, and then do know your customer stuff and scan in your, the front and back of your ID. It's a pain in the ass now still for most applications, but that's the type of stuff that fixes itself over time.
Yeah. So getting into the space, when I was first dabbling into crypto, I remember I was telling my dad, I want to go full throttle into Bitcoin, into blockchain, all that stuff. And he called me crazy. He's like, what is this funny internet money? And here we are today on Blockchain and Boost. So
you've come so far, Adam. So far.
Mark, I've come so far, man. I wanna kind of talk about, because this is always a fun question. And as we start the show, you have a lot of things going on. Okay, you're doing Shark Tank. You're an investor. You run the Dallas Mavericks, and you're now learning how to program in the language of Solidity, right? Mm-hmm. How do you balance everything, especially now on the programming side? Like, you're getting so deep into crypto. Where do you find that balance to kind of prioritize your time?
My first company was a company called Micro Solutions, and all I did was database programming. And we were a systems integrator that we had 80 employees, 30 some million in sales, and so I did distributed database applications, multi-user applications, you name it. And so once you learn how to program, picking things up, and I know some Python, and so picking up Solidity is not hard. It's really just a matter of learning the variables and the capabilities of smart contracts, and then from there, it's really learning the differences between all the different blockchains that are trying to capture market share, and that's really the hard part, because it's hard to tell what's real and what's not. But in terms of finding time, you just got to do it. Either you're going to be caught up or you're not. And so whatever it takes, I'm sitting there, reading all the white papers or the light papers, and just trying to figure it all out.
So do you actually spend the time to go through white papers detail by detail, understand like their technical foundation and all that? Like, how do you kind of like approach that?
Well, the foundation is all pretty much the same, right? So some might have proof of stake, proof of work, some are ledgers, some do confirmations and some do mining, some do validation. And so they're all just different versions of the same thing, and they're all trying to accomplish the same thing. How are they going to get developers? And, so they all went out and sold tokens or raised money, and now they're using their foundations to push applications to be built. And so you just, when there's this rush right now, you just got to get your arms around some of it. And over time, most of them will fall out, just like we saw with ICOs, right? And then you see which ones are the strongest. But it's really, really interesting, because at its base, it's all about Ethereum. So you've got people arguing that 2.0 is going to be like Lightning was for Bitcoin, right? And it's going nowhere. And then other people feel the exact opposite. Then you have sharding versus drops versus all the different, the GPUs using extended GPUs and serial parallel CPUs or GPUs, all these different applications and approaches. You just got to get a feel for how they're going to be used and who's using them, and see what works.
So let's talk about what works. Let's talk about Ethereum, because you seem to be very vocal about it, especially as you dabble in the streams of DeFi, right? So off the bat, what has your experience been like? You're using all these protocols, these different lending protocols,
for which
applying
part?
Liquidity in general, just playing around with DeFi.
Or with DeFi specifically, yeah. I mean, DeFi is a mess, right? Because everybody's competing with liquidity. That doesn't mean you can't make money. That doesn't mean you shouldn't use it. But it's a real mess, and you've got everybody trying to come in and pick off different banking applications. Let's do this with a savings account, so they'll pay 4%, and whatever money we raise, we can go out and earn 10% and keep the delta. We could do this part of banking or that part of banking, but everybody is chasing liquidity. So you get these bizarro APYs that are paid off in the native coin or native tokens, and then you get people, just trying to hedge it all and deal with it all. And so it's, I don't know if it's a race to the bottom yet, but it's a challenge. And to me, part of the most interesting part is where the liquidity is coming from. Most of it's not coming from the United States, and it's coming from all over the world, and particularly Asia. And so all these DeFi companies you talk to, they're coming to me, and I'm asking them where else are they getting the liquidity, and it's whales all over the place. And so that kind of changes how all this work and makes it a little bit riskier at some level, but it doesn't change the technology underneath it. And to me, that's the most important part.
So talking more about the technology and the kind of problems that it solves, without mentioning projects, because I know you don't like to shout out tickers and pump tokens. Outside of Doge, of you accepting Doge, we'll get into that to the moon. I wonder if Doge's price is gonna go up after this interview.
Who knows? It'll go up from 0.0577 to 0.0578.
There you go. And you're winning. What'd you do? Over 20,000 transactions so far? You're the largest Dogecoin.
Yeah, that was last week. So I haven't looked this week. I want to be pleasantly surprised.
Amazing. So from more of a problem solution type of perspective, because when I see you on Shark Tank, okay, someone's pitching you something, you're many times like, what is a problem that you're solving? Okay.
Right.
Let's dabble into DeFi right now. What are some of the major problems that exist in the current financial system that you see decentralized finance tackling, without mentioning specific tickers, just from a pure principle perspective?
Personal banking, right? Just look, for me to borrow money, I have to be over collateralized with my bank. I've got to call somebody. I've got to do a DocuSign or sign something. It's got to get approved at multiple levels, even if I'm borrowing $10,000, and you don't want to know how much money I have in my bank account just to borrow that. So unless I'm putting it against a credit card or just writing a check, it's a hassle. And then even for me, again, the fees are ridiculous as a percent and a replication and this and that. And so, owning a crypto asset, whether it's Bitcoin, Ethereum, some others, a stable coin, I can do my own banking, and it's very friction free, and it's very straightforward, and it's fast. You're not borrowing against your future earnings, but whatever you've been able to earn and save and convert to a crypto asset, go for it, right? And just that lack of friction is, to me, the game changer. And the same thing applies for corporations. More and more and more, I'm trying to get my companies to say, okay, just take 3 or 5 or 10% of your cash balances that you cash manage and you're making nothing on. And, let's learn how to use some DeFi to increase your yields on that. And even if we have a failure rate of 3% or 4%, we're still going to make more money than the 0.5% we're getting from the bank right now.
Yeah. So let's dive deeper into that for a second. So you're advising the companies in your portcos, okay? You're telling them dabble in DeFi, like you said. What do you want them to apply their money to? Like these liquidity pools that DEX is used, like or these lending protocols. Like what are you excited about here?
It really depends, because they're all different, right? The thing that I'm telling them not to do is to stake long term, right? If you've got to, if you're staking, and even if there's like 11 days on Aave, 11-day cooling down period, they're not ready for that yet, because particularly small to medium-sized businesses, they want access to their cash. That's why it's in the type of account that it is. And so really, it's just getting up to speed and being able to pick and choose some areas. And in some cases, talking to me and saying, okay, who can we trust and who don't we trust or are not sure about? And not chasing the biggest yields, but just chasing any yield whatsoever that you feel is safe. Because what I try to get them to stay away from, you can tell when a coin or a DeFi hub is trying to chase liquidity, right? And they're just paying ridiculous numbers, and it seems attractive on the surface, but unless you're dealing with, unless you really know what you're doing, it's going to be difficult to figure it out and run your business at the same time. And then if you're smaller and you only have $1,000 or whatever, just your gas fees, you're going to end up spending more on your gas fees, or you're having to hold to get that API an extended period of time just to make back your gas fees, let alone make a yield on it. And so just trying to get them to understand those elements as well.
Sure. So when you look for these DeFi protocols and these various projects that claim to do XYZ, is there any set of, I guess, like a standard or metrics you kind of look for to determine the viability of a project?
Not really. I mean, just to be honest, I don't do a lot of DeFi. I'm not yield chasing at all. Where I've done it just to learn and to get a better understanding how this works versus that one. And, what's from native tokens and how it's being paid and how can I hedge or how can I get to liquidity and how quick and what's the return. So I have some friends that do it in a big way that are making a lot of money, and they're trying to convince me. But, for me, I'm conservative enough that I'm like, I need to be on top of this, right? I'm just not going to trust it to make it work, because you see hacks, and I'm not necessarily worried about hacks, but I'm more worried about the mistakes that I'll make, right? Where, oh, what do you mean I have to stake for 2 years, right, in order for this to pay me my 7.4%? And so those are the types of things that, unless you're really into it, you're more liable to make those mistakes. So for me, it's more learning about the principles and the strategies and the business side of it, so that as I go forward, I can make smart decisions.
Yeah. Do you see at some point like more corporations? Because you mentioned the liquidity doesn't come from the U.S., right? This is obviously a gray area, and I'd even argue large private companies don't even want to touch this stuff quite yet because it's just unregulated and whatnot. So a lot of the liquidity, like you said, may be coming from Asia, Middle East, Europe, wherever. Okay. At what point do you think you'll start seeing more of these U.S. Based corporations, private entities, these Fortune 500 companies?
Almost immediately.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, I've talked to a bunch of them, and it's more like, just take a little piece, not because you're trying to yield farm specifically, but you've got to learn, right? And you've got to get your people up to speed, because if there are relationships you develop or there are approaches that you trust, put aside, the 1,000 APY, right? Or even the 30 or 40, just if you're making, 11% off a stable coin, right? Maybe there's something there for you to try, but you have to get your people up to speed. So just take $10,000 or $25,000 and see what happens. I'm not saying, put in a ton of money and now you're a whale and you're a big liquidity provider and you can, get discounts on tokens and all these other things, right? I'm saying just try it, because at some point in the near future, that's going to be part of the job of a CFO. Just like you have chief financial officer, you have chief information officer, chief revenue officer, I think there's going to be a chief crypto / DeFi officer. So, maybe it's not as high, but somewhere along the mix, you're going to want somebody that manages your money that way for you, because it's a unique opportunity. Now, I don't think these super high APYs are going to last forever. I think a lot of them will crater, but I think DeFi is here to stay. It's just a question of who.
Yeah. So actually, how long have you been dabbling with DeFi? When did you first encounter? Just this summer. So during the DeFi summer, right? As everyone calls it. Okay. So would you say, so obviously we're all in lockdown right now. We're all stuck at home. We're receiving all of these, or a lot of people are receiving the stimulus checks, spending a lot of time in front of the screen. That's the environment that we're in right now. Do you feel like COVID has accelerated the rate of adoption for cryptocurrencies?
Of course. Right. You got nothing else to do. You're sitting there and you got this money, and if you put it in the bank, it's going to make you nothing, and it's like Dogecoin is fantasy sports. It's daily fantasy for crypto. And so it's people are learning from it. People are getting into it. And from there, people are expanding into other places, or you read about it, you see what's going on with Bitcoin and Ethereum and their pricing, and you want to know more. And again, when interest rates are this low, people are taking greater chances, because I'm going to make 0.5%, and so 5 years from now, my $600 is going to be worth $608 or whatever, right? So why not, right? Let me buy $600 worth of Ethereum or Bitcoin or whatever it is, since you can buy it on a fractionalized basis, and see where it goes. And then you start talking to your friends, and your friends start talking among each other, and people are making money. Everybody's going to get excited about it. And I think that's really what led to it this summer.
Sure. And I could also argue like that's why we're seeing a large spike in the NFT cycle, right? And more
Absolutely.
People launching NFTs, which you're profoundly excited about. I see you going on Twitter rants, preaching about NFTs and their opportunity. Tell me more about why are you so excited about this?
So we were talking about learning Solidity and learning about smart contracts and everything, right? And so like I do in all this stuff, like DeFi or even with NFTs, I went to mintable.app, and because someone told me that was the cheapest place to learn how to do these things, right? And so I minted some things and I put it out there. And the next thing so I just took 10 GIFs of me, doing this, going to work out. And I put them out there for $25 a piece, whatever it was in each, thinking no one's going to spend any money on this, but I'm going through it all. And then I see it, and it's like royalties. What would you like your royalties on resales to be? I'm like, oh my God, what a game changer. That just changed the nature of selling anything digital, period, end of story. And then the next thing I know, my little GIFs had sold out, and they were getting $5,000 and $10,000, and my royalties are raking in, right? And I'm going, oh Lord, this is not what I expected at all. But I need to learn more about smart contracts and royalties and the EIPs that come along with it. And what is it, 2981, and what's going on with royalties there, and how they were going to be expanded, and are there opportunities there for me? And because it's not just about a collectible, it's not just about Top Shots, it's not just about CryptoPunks, it's not just about any one of those things. In my mind, it's what are these not being used for that are perfect applications. And in business, I think the collectible side of it is going to be a smidgen compared to being able to monetize corporate IP.
So before we even jump into that, because I think there's so many possibilities within NFTs, right? And I want to dive deeper into all these business use cases. But so right now, digital art has proven that NFTs are actually a thing. There's a lot of value being generated. Now I'm seeing the music industry. Have you started dabbling with that side as well, like scoping the music industry?
Yeah, of
right?
course. Yeah, I mean, from Euler Beats, right? Generative music, which I thought was brilliant, to talking to artists and seeing what they're doing, to trying to come up with approaches. Because right now, everybody's trying to see just how much people will spend on collectibles, right? So you see Grimes and what's happening there. You saw Kings of Leon and what happened there. And then you see Tyga and some others just doing some basic artwork and not really releasing music, but it's all geared towards collectible. To me, that's not where the real money is going to be, because that kind of balances out, because it all becomes long tail at some point, where there's so many people that are chasing that, right? You're not going to see the highs for a few people will get higher as more people come in, but for everybody else, it'll just balance out and there'll be an equilibrium. But for just selling music, the question becomes, can you do it? Can you come up with an alternative to Spotify or Pandora, or Apple Music? And I'm not talking about streaming for free. It's just like, okay, is it better to issue maybe not an Ethereum because of gas fees, to put out a song that is 99 cents, knowing that it's perishable, right? When you're bored with it, you're bored with it, and there can be a resale marketplace, just like back in the day there used to be for CDs and DVDs. Sure. Or is it better to start going back old school, and instead of releasing individual singles, do it as albums and concepts, right? So it all ties together. So you have artwork. Like back when I was a kid, you'd buy an album and there'd be Led Zeppelin and, House of the Holies, and there'd be a really cool art, cover art. And then there'd be 8, 10, 12 songs, whatever it is. And you'd play it over and over again. And when you were done with it, you go resell it, for a few bucks, and then you use that money to buy something else. So are we going to see, is it better to say $9.99 or $12.99 or $14.99, selling it on, and Nifty Music, whatever it ends up being, right? Or Rarible or Mintable or OpenSea, whatever. And the artist gets their 97.5%, right? And they pay out to the publishers and writers and all that, just like they normally would, but it's automated, first of all, and then they get part of the resale value. And you're not paying 30% to Apple Music, right? There's, so the question becomes, if you sell it that way and it unlocks to an MP3 that gets resold, but you keep the NFT and, it burns, and you can't automatically burn the MP3, right? But it won't unlock if it's already unlocked, right? Or you can put in certain restrictions, I think. But you can figure that side out technologically. But if you have a resale market for music like that, the artists are going to be far better off, and you don't have, there's not as many fingers in the pie either.
And the crazy part of all this is that it's insane how this concept of the starving artist was such an accepted term, right? And that was just the thing. Like, if you're going into the creative side, you're going to be a starving artist, and people took that risk, right? And NFTs allow for that new opportunity for people to take control of their stuff. But here's the question.
Go ahead.
Here's what I want to ask. Like, it makes sense from the artist perspective, okay? But from my perspective, from a Spotify user, right? I'm listening to unlimited music for an X amount per month, right? And now artists are going to start telling me I need to drop $30 on an album. Like, there's a whole disconnect over here. So do you think that the artists have the control over the audience? Like, where do you see that shift?
It's a great question. It depends on the artist, obviously, but at the same time, it depends on the simplicity that you create for it. Because at the end of the day, I mean, okay, well, you can download a bunch of stuff, but at the end of the day, you're going to buy it where and how and when you want it, right? And so if you make it a better experience for the consumer, then you can get them away from the streaming services. If you don't, then they're going to bitch and complain that it still should be. But, I think what will end up happening is that, and I'm guessing, but that the streaming services will be singles driven, right? You might have a playlist for a particular artist, and, you might have your own specialized playlist for singles, but artists will sell concepts, like albums, right? And they'll add enough value to them that if you're truly a fan, and you don't need a lot of fans, right? Most artists aren't selling millions of units, and they're not streaming, hundreds of millions of streams and making money from it. And so, if you could sell a concept album with a variety of different digital value points, every time you buy one for $12, $14, or $19.95, you're going to have the hardcore fans really buy in. And if you've got 10,000 of them spending $20, that's $200,000, which for most artists is far more than they'll make from streaming.
Sure. No, there's definitely, I'm very excited on the whole point of targeting like your most hardcore fans, your most hardcore believers, and creating unique content for them, selling them as unique collectibles, one of ones, whatever, one of tens, whatever they may be.
Well, that's what's making all the whole NFT market work, right?
Right.
The people who are getting paid are the ones that have a community. And
right.
if you've got an online community of people that are just rabid fans, doesn't matter what it is. If you're Beeple, if you're, if you're Grimes, if you paint cars, it doesn't matter if you can turn it into a digital product and tokenize it. But you just have to have that following. I think where people misunderstand is they think if you just put it up there, that people are just going to buy it because it's there. And there's some of that. Like I'll go on Mintable and I'll find artwork from somebody that I like, right? That just reaches me, and and just to do it and support them and stuff like that. But that's the exception, not the rule.
Sure. So what does your NFT portfolio consist of right now? Like who are you buying? Who are you scouting? What's going on?
I just did, what the hell was the name of it? Hold on, let me see if I can find them.
Because I've seen you purchase all these different NFTs and like you tweeting about them and saying, oh, this was fun, this was cool. So I'm curious to know, like, how big is your NFT portfolio as we speak?
People send me so much shit, right? Once my address one of my addresses got public, right? My ECF address, they just started sending me all kinds of stuff, which was cool. There was some cool stuff, but there was a lot of junk. And the next EIP has to be a refusal option, right? Where from a certain user, or you can just cancel it without having to pay to burn it. But the last one I did, and oh my God, I can't find it. And
as you find it, I saw this tweet. You got very, very lucky. You got one of the rarest passes ever from poopoo.eth. And you got a membership pass. So congrats on that. I
didn't even know that. Literally, like I've got 200 NFTs and things that are in my wallet when I go to check it. And so I'll look for poopoo.eth.
There you go. Look for poopoo.eth.
That's for Ganpunks. That's the last one I bought.
Nice. Very cool. Yeah. So so we're in this NFT moment. Everybody's talking about it. Obviously there's a hype here. There's a bubble here at some point, right? Yeah. It's either building, either we're approaching it. When do you think it's going to pop? Okay. And that's part one. Part two, how do you think a post bubble pop environment may look like for a lot of these brand new up and coming artists that really picked up steam because of NFTs?
So there's two things. There's not necessarily the bubble is going to pop, but the prices will find their own level, right? It's just like the stock market. The stock market isn't going to stay where it is unless interest rates stay really low. And if interest rates stay really low, then, like we talked about before, there's no other place to put your money. So people are going to put their money into alternative assets like NFTs. If interest rates get up to 3%, 4%, 5%, then you'll see the prices start to come down some, whether it's the stock market, maybe crypto, maybe not in terms of crypto assets, but for NFTs, I think there's that brown sugar bourbon. But you'll see some of the less popular, the interim, the second tier, you'll see their prices come down. Now, post that, the artists are going to have to be more creative. The platforms, the marketplaces are going to have to be more creative. Now, the beginning of that comes from getting beyond wallets as the foundation for making transactions. That's just a piece of shit right there, right? I mean, that's why NBA Top Shots has done so well, because buying a moment on NBA Top Shots is just using your credit card, and it's like buying socks on Amazon, right? Sure. Where and Nifty Gateway does a great job of that as well. But Most they're priced in Ethereum, or they're priced, in wrapped Ether, whatever it may be, and that just complicates things, which reduces the size of the market. And if you look at NBA Top Shots, they have 100,000 customers. If you look at CryptoPunks, and I forget what it was, I haven't looked on CryptoSlam for the past few days, but they have even fewer. And so if the number one marketplace only has 100,000 buyers, that just tells you it's tiny, and we're just in the beginning. So there's no winners yet. They're just the early leaders.
So then a post-pop environment won't have too much effect on the prices of art, right? You don't think people are going to start devaluing specific pieces? It's going to create more exposure.
Yeah, okay. Of course they will. Just like you see in the physical art market.
Okay.
Prices go up and down. When people have a lot of money and the stock market's up and interest rates are low, prices go way up. After the financial crisis, prices went way down. In March of 2020, when the pandemic hit, prices for everything went down. So, it's not a stable coin. It's not a stable NFT, right? And so you're going to see price movement, but that's okay. Over time, it'll do what it's supposed to do.
Sure. No, it's super interesting. It's very exciting. I love seeing a lot of people who didn't have the opportunity to showcase themselves as Instagram artists now picking up steam and creating a career for themselves. The whole concept of starving artists is now disappearing, right? And people are starting.
Remember, even with this, 99% of the artists are still going to starve, right? But the difference is the gatekeepers have changed. So, sure. You go from, because you can still post yourself on a picture of your stuff on a website, right? And get it online pre-NFT. And now you can go on, you just mint it any way you choose, and you go into, any of the marketplaces. And if you're a standard token, it's going to show up on OpenSea and Mintable and everywhere else, right? Rarible. And so you have the opportunity. But what I think starving artists need to know is they've still got to go out and sell. Yeah. There's not a gallery that you can't get in because the curator or museum you can't get in because the curator's keeping you out. But you're one of 50,000 pieces of art that are on a marketplace, and you have to find a way for your piece or your collection or whatever it is to stand out. And so you have to work to get people to that piece, right? Whether it's tweeting, whether it's promoting on Instagram, one of my companies, Leverage, bought NFTs on Instagram. And what we've been trying to do is just feature somebody. Now, we're not up to 10,000 followers yet, so we can't just do a swipe up. So go follow us on Instagram.
All right.
Everybody too. But once we get there, it'll be, okay, here's a piece of art that Adam did. Swipe up, and it'll take you to the marketplace so you can just buy it.
So I was actually about to ask you about that because I came across that NFT page when I was looking for NFT content. So other than just featuring people, what's the motivation for having the @NFT sign? What are you trying to do with that? That's it.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see where it goes, right? It was just like it was available to us, and it was like, yes, we'll take it, and let's see where we can go with it. Maybe we'll feature people. We've been featuring people, and we'll see what else we'll do. Maybe we'll mint things from there. I don't know yet.
Cool. It'd be interesting to see Instagram implement a feature that would allow minting and selling just like they do with all their.
That's something we're working on, actually, because there's ways to do it where you can just take the, that you can just take the picture, whatever it is you post or video, sure, and just tokenize it, sure. And so we're just trying to find the best way to do it.
Awesome. So I want to kind of jump into a tweet that you posted. I think it was a couple of days ago. So, quote, "I don't think that people realize the real growth in NFTs isn't now. Art, music, photos, short videos are the proof of concept and just the beginning. The real growth comes when corporate IP goes," and then you put @IP to NFT. "That changes revenue streams for all companies, large and small." So yep. Obviously the creative side is getting a lot of exposure. I know you talked about textbooks in the past. What other creative, or not creative sectors, but what other sectors are ripe for disruption in the NFT space?
All of them.
But give me some examples and some use cases.
So DocuSign, right? Yeah. Where they send you a thing, they send you a contract to sign. It's just going to be far better on a blockchain, right? Company does a white paper on something, an AI company releases research and they publish it to archive, and they could also publish it as an NFT to show that it's theirs and it's confirmed theirs. And then they can also sell it and resell it. Cliff notes, you're done, you buy them for your class, and you got to throw away the book, or you buy it, download, and you're done with it. They do everything possible. The digital versions are nearly impossible to resell, right? Why not resell as an NFT, and a percentage of that goes back to the creator? Books, just like we talked about music, but for corporations, any type of intellectual capital that could be digitized. One of my speeches, tickets with the Mavs, all those things can be turned into NFTs.
Amazing. And I think we're going to see a lot of that kind of take place over the next couple of years, 2 to 3 to 4 years. And I'm excited to see it's sad, but it'd be cool to see like we're going bankrupt because of NFTs, or we're losing, we're going out of business because of this brand new technology. And
let me just tell you, that happened like the early days of the internet. Everything went from analog to digital, and people talked about convergence, right? The convergence of analog and digital. That was the big word. Well, now we've seen the digital implementations of things that were analog, and post-internet, the last 5 to 7 years, you've seen it becoming servitized, right? Where it becomes a service, an online service like DocuSign. Now you're going to see the blockchainization of all that, where those same things can be put on a public blockchain encrypted, where you need it to be encrypted, validated depending on how the blockchain works, and available far more easily with a lot less overhead and administration assigned to it, a lot less computing power required to manage it, a lot fewer employees required to deal with it. And so you're going to see the blockchainization of a lot of applications over the next 5 to 10 years.
Amazing. I'm excited. As I did some more research about you, I know you got your start in the entrepreneurship side of things, trading baseball cards, right? You were a big fan, and among other things, I remember seeing an interview. You even pulled some cards from the left-hand side of your. There you go. Pull it out. Let's see.
My Jake Moskal card, the first number 77 before Luka Doncic for the Dallas Mavericks, the only one. My John Brisker card. Yeah, so I got. Just things that I've accumulated. I wouldn't say collected, but I would say accumulated.
All right. So you have some physical assets that could technically turn into digital assets, right? So there's this new trend going on where I think it was a couple days ago, someone bought an original Banksy art piece. They digitized it and then took a video of themselves.
Those are my guys. Those
are your guys.
Yeah, those are my guys. I was like, what the hell are you doing?
There you go. So would you consider doing that with your baseball cards and all these other physical collectibles?
I don't mind doing that at all. Yeah. Some things I won't. Like I've got like a Luka Dirk signed basketball back there, my Dennis Rodman jersey. Now the trophy, no.
Wait, so what about if you distribute all these trophies, the NBA championship trophy as an NFT? Would you do that?
Yeah, I mean, I would do a duplicate of it, right?
No, I want the original one, Mark. I want the original one.
Oh, hell no.
So it can trade on the secondary market.
That's okay. I don't need the money.
Smooth. Okay, I want to jump more into the Bitcoin narrative because you have mixed feelings about Bitcoin and as a form as a global currency and as a store of value. But I kind of want to target all my Bitcoin bros and Bitcoin chicks and the Michael Saylors of the world. All right. Making an argument that we're in an inflationary monetary environment that's rapidly increasing. Okay. Credit is flowing. And because of this current situation, people are calling Bitcoin as the ultimate hedge, or not the ultimate, but a great hedge for inflation. Right. I see, like, why are you so against that?
No, I'm not against it. The question is why. Look, as an algorithmic source of scarcity and a store of value, yes. But that's supply and demand, which has nothing to do with hedging against inflation. Nothing. Just like gold has nothing to do as a hedge against inflation. Nothing. It makes for a great sales pitch. It's like price earnings ratios and buy and hold. All those are narratives to sell stocks. This whole thing of Bitcoin being a hedge, or any cryptocurrency being a hedge against inflation, there's just no connection there whatsoever. None. And particularly since, it's available at the whim of the hodlers. You can't have something that's only available at the whim of hodlers and miners be a hedge to fiat. You just can't.
So, and that goes with your whole statement of you'd rather have bananas over Bitcoin, right?
Okay, so the bananas was a few years ago. So since 2012, I guess it's been.
Sure.
like I mentioned earlier, I wrote software, distributed database stuff.
Right.
So, the blockchain stuff I understood, and it made perfect sense to me as a platform for development. And back then in 2012, even though the original white paper said store value and currency, a lot of people were pitching it as a currency. And that was the big thing. Cryptocurrency. It was going to be a global currency that you can use anywhere. Remember the guy who went across the country only spending Bitcoin? People, people trying to prove that it was a currency. I'm like,
it's a cult. It's a cult.
But it's not a currency. You can still be a cult and not be a currency, right? And that's effectively what it was, because, look what happened in 2017. I forget what they named it, when, people realized with that block size, you can't do many transactions. And then the conversation back then was, here comes Lightning, right? And Lightning is like the ETH 2.0 of 2017, sure. Right? It was going to solve all the problems, but we know what happened there. And then we saw Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin, SV, I think it is.
Yeah, Bitcoin SV, all these sub chains and forks and whatnot, right?
Right, and now Bitcoin SV is in the Bahamas. They used it as digital currency and this and that, right? Bitcoin is not currency. Yes, you can use it to exchange value globally and create, but it's just too slow, too limited, too expensive to really be a true currency. Doesn't mean it's not viable. But when I got asked that question back then, pre-DeFi, the utility was only as a store of value. And so what I said was, it's like gold. It's a store of value. It's more religion. It's worth what someone will pay for it. I said it then. I stand by it. But in terms of utility, pre-DeFi, a banana has more utility because I can eat a banana.
And you can enjoy it and get your potassium and all your vitamins and nutrients.
Exactly right. And I need my potassium. I sweat a lot.
I get it.
So that's where the utility came from. But then all of a sudden you started getting wrapped Bitcoin, and you started getting smart contracts, and you started getting DeFi and applications there. And so now the utility has changed, where, like I said earlier, you can have a fraction of a Bitcoin, a full Bitcoin, whatever it is, and be your own personal banker. There's so many things that you can do now, so that if I got my Bitcoin, and whether it goes up or down in value, I can take a percentage of that and borrow and lend and earn income and be my own personal banker. That wasn't ever, when I got interviewed, that wasn't an opportunity, at least not that I was aware of.
Yeah.
In 2017.
And let's talk more about becoming a personal banker and kind of divulge into the whole Dogecoin path. Okay. Of you being your own, I guess, peer-to-peer ticket seller, or whatever you want to sell, tickets, merch, whatever it may be, right? We talked earlier, you accepted over 20,000 transactions of Doge, right? You're the largest.
20,000 Doge worth of transactions.
There you go. That's what it was. There you go. And Doge also shortly jumped right after that too, coincidentally.
I didn't even know. Yeah, because I wasn't tracking that closely.
Of course not. Of course not. Right. So like you're a big believer in narratives. Okay. What's the Doge narrative? Why were you so excited about this beyond seeing like
it's fun?
Okay.
It's just easy way to have fun. Okay. And, it's a nickel. And, when I first bought some for my son on the Robinhood app, we said it was less than a penny, and so you spend $1, you get 100 of them, and he's watching it and learning about crypto. Now it's up around a nickel, and you spend, $20 and you get, 20 times 400 worth, right? And that's something that, it's better than buying a lottery ticket and spending $20 worth of a lottery ticket. It's probably more rewarding than playing daily fantasy on FanDuel or DraftKings, thinking you're going to make money there, playing against all the rocket scientists that have figured this stuff out. And so it's a great way to learn. It's a great way to have fun. It's great entertainment. You're watching it all the time. It's addictive, and it's cheap, and the downside is negligible. So even if it goes from 0.0577 to 0.0421, right, and you lose, 1.5 cents on your 100 of them, you lost $1.50, and you've had a lot of fun. So that's why I've gotten into it. That's why I've had so much fun, because the entertainment value is so high. And then you add the entertainment value of the community, where everybody's just come together, and I get to put rocket ships on my tweets, and Doge to the moon and all this. It's just fun, and people have to stop taking it so seriously. It's not meant to be serious. it wasn't designed to do anything, nothing at all. And, it's the Seinfeld of crypto assets. The cryptocurrency about nothing. And Seinfeld was a great show and it was entertaining, even though it was about nothing. And so is Dogecoin. And I think it's amazing. I love it.
It's funny because after the tweets from Elon Musk and now the Mavs accepting Doge and a lot of the hype being generated in Doge, a lot of my family comes to me to talk crypto. Okay. For whatever reason. Okay. And my uncle, right. What an irony, right? My uncle, for whatever reason, comes up to me. He's like, oh, I just spent 10K on Doge. I'm like, why? Why'd you do that? He's like, oh, I saw Elon Musk talking about it. I saw this person talking about it. And then my cousin comes up to me. He's like, yo, I just dropped $1,000 on Doge. Is it going up? Is it going to hit $1? And I'm like, man, put your money in Ethereum, put your money in Bitcoin, put your money in DeFi. So I love the playfulness.
But it's better than them going to Vegas, right? It's better than them gambling because in essence, the downside, could it go back down under a penny? Yes, right. But there's so much fun with it. It's not likely for it to go down that much more.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think that with the fun element comes a lot of new adoption and a lot of new entrants to crypto.
Yeah,
so
look, if they looked at it as an investment and they're spending 10K thinking, it's good Doge to $1, that's different, right?
Sure.
If you're spending thousands of dollars, you're probably putting your money in the wrong place.
Yeah.
But if you're doing it for the fun of it, right?
What's the harm?
Not?
That's your argument. Not? What's the harm? Why not?
Why not? It's a whole lot better than most places, and you got a chance to make some money.
There you go. You guys heard it here first. Why not? I want to kind of dive deeper into your whole exposure to crypto, right? Do you have a right-hand man, woman, or a group of people? You're your sole info of information. So what do you look at?
There's some guys that I talk to that really help me in terms of DeFi.
Okay.
But more on a macro base. Well, one of my friends is really into it and trades it daily and is chasing the yields and knows what he's doing and gets early info on the narratives. But, so he's the one who really got me, made me aware of DeFi and all that was going on when he was talking about all this money he was making. But most of it, I just try to figure out on my own.
Amazing. And I know I saw you mention like you're a subscriber of the Defiant. You love getting those newsletters. Any major sites that you're a big fan of that that's your go-to source of info? Or influencers even, or stuff like that. I just want to pick your brain. Like, where are you getting your information?
I go on to Dune Analytics a lot.
Cool.
I go, I'm figuring out Etherscan more and more every day.
Cool.
Let's see. I use BYBT, Cointelegraph, CoinWorld. CryptoSlam is a big source for NFT stuff, OpenSea stuff. OpenSea's got some good models. I use Zapper for a lot of stuff.
Nice.
I use what's the other stuff I'm getting here? Live Coin Watch just to get info on new coins. So just a little bit of everywhere. I use Mintable to mint to the store. I invested in them. So
nice.
Yeah, there's one called Espresso that is coming out that I'm starting to get a beta on that I invested in that. It's kind of an if this then that. It allows you to set triggers. That makes it really easy for you to track things. So there's I just try to find the information wherever I can. And if one thing is good, I stick with it. And if not, then I go to the next thing.
I love it. As we approach the end of the conversation, I want to be respectful of your time, of course. I put together this segment in honor of you, right? I'm debuting it for the first time on Blockchain and Booze. And it's ties back to the story of you saying you'd rather have, there you go, cheers. You'd rather own bananas over Bitcoin. Okay, so this next segment I call bananas or, okay?
And all this cracks me up. All this bananas just cracks me up.
It's amazing. So bananas or, the newest segment on Blockchain and Booze, where I hit you off with a few fire round questions, and you got to tell me whether you'd pick a banana or whatever I ask you. All right, ready? You ready to go?
Let's go.
Let's do it. All right, so very easy, very simple. Bananas or apples?
Bananas. Potassium.
Bananas. Potassium. There you go. Bananas or ETH 2.0?
Um.
Oof. Ooh.
I'll go with ETH 2.0 for now.
Nice. Bananas or kids pitching you on Shark Tank?
Bananas. Kids are the worst. Kids are the worst. But kids and animals, because you can't be mean, right? And it's a long story.
All right, we don't have to get into it. All right, bananas or Luka Doncic?
Oh, Luka, right? Luka all day, every day.
Even if it's like an endless amount of bananas?
Even if it's every banana in the universe.
Amazing. Bananas or presidential candidacy?
Oh, bananas.
Amazing. Bananas or the wave at games?
Bananas every day. If you ever want to see me, rub your fingers on a chalkboard, chew with your mouth open, or do the wave. Those are the three things that annoy me more than anything.
Amazing. And then last but not least, the most important question of them all. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Bananas or blockchain and booze?
Oh, blockchain and booze. Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
What a dumb question.
What an even question. So there you guys have it. Bananas or the newest segment on blockchain and booze. Shout out to Queen George that helped me make that audio and her little brother. Before I let you go, do you have any questions for me?
Sure. All the shit I just said for the last hour, was I right or wrong?
I guess we'll have to find out.
Yeah, right.
I don't know. I mean, all of this is a spray and pray. So a little bit about what we do at Draper Going Home, right? We're an early stage investment fund. We're a studio, and we have this new fund that we use to double down on our studio investments, right? And a lot of what we're doing is spray and pray, right?
Yeah, I use that term all the time now too, right? Because
there you go.
Exactly, yep.
And we're so early into the space that you're really betting on people. You're betting on problems that need to be solved. And you're betting, I guess, on community too, because as Lunar Crush says it, there's no crypto without community. And you're seeing the ETH cult, you're seeing the BTC cult, you're seeing the chain link,
all the maxis, right?
All the maxis. And while it's great to see that, at the end of the day, it has to come down to how we believe the usability, right? How easy it is, like you said, to integrate and use a wallet. How easy is it to send Bitcoin or Ethereum, whatever it may be, from point A to point B?
Wallets are the biggest disaster ever, right? The whole idea, and I get to know your customer stuff, but there's, MetaMask works, but like some of the others don't even work. But MetaMask isn't intuitive in the least bit. And so there's got to be a better way, particularly for new users. What do you think happens there?
In terms of what? People migrating?
What comes next? Yeah, because, just like there was Mozilla, then there was Netscape, then we got to Firefox and Microsoft, and then we got to Chrome, right? It was just an evolution. What comes next with wallets?
So it's a good question. Look, from my perspective, I'm a big believer in this whole Web3 vision, right? And people being their own banks, like you said, people doing their own level of ownership, transferring their value directly to their end user, right? In terms of usability, in terms of people integrating with wallets, I mean, I it's funny because I was literally at someone's house yesterday showing them how to use OpenSea and going through the process of downloading MetaMask, and it's such a painful process.
The onboarding is awful.
Yes, and while there's a lot of benefit with doing the whole credit card transaction side, right, and getting people on there ASAP and creating all the wallets and all that stuff on the back end without them noticing, it kind of defeats the whole purpose of Web3 to some extent, because there's still,
like on Top Shots, you can't even get your money out, right? So the idea of transferring is, well, I mean, you can do some moments transfer, but you're not really using Flow to, as a blockchain for the most part, right? It just is a database.
So I think everybody, obviously, at the end of the day, the usability needs to get much friendlier. There needs to be less barriers to entry. Opening up a new wallet needs to be easier than literally holding that piece of paper of your private seeds to your heart in a near dear place. If you lose it, you're screwed. Like, that whole entire process needs to get simplified to the extent where it's like, I just swipe up my phone type of interaction.
Would you think people are going to open up physical bank locations that do these things? So the bank teller of 2022 is someone who helps you set up your wallet and takes your account that you have in that bank and connects it directly right there and right then. And would that be better and simpler than making it all digital, right, like it is right now?
Look, I think there's going to be a market for all of that. I think whoever simplifies it the most, whoever wants to deal with the headache of managing their own finances, you're going to see that side of the market. Whoever just wants the Bank of America interface of just literally logging in, being able to call someone, doing that whole
Not
side.
even that, right? Just the initial phase, to someone to teach you how to do it, to help, just like
That
you had
too.
to help some, right? I mean, because imagine this: if I set up a retail store in a mall that needs the traffic, and I said, set up your crypto accounts here. We'll take the checks from this bank, who's any bank that's in this mall, and we'll get you set up with a wallet, and it's free. How much traffic do you think you get?
I don't know. I mean, it depends on how easy it is.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, if I just walk in, there's Adam and Mark right there saying, okay, we'll set you up. We're going to get you all set up with a wallet, and we'll walk you through the process.
Yeah. I think they're going to get a lot of traffic, in my opinion. I think if they dumb it down to the point where it's like, I won't make it scary for you. Look at all these beautiful colors. Look at all these beautiful buttons. You just got to click here, and we'll literally guide you through it through our UI and UX. And it's a seamless
Just bring
process.
Your laptop. Yeah, bring your laptop
That's it.
with you. Yeah, bring your laptop. Pop up Chrome. We'll add the extension.
Why not?
We'll put the money in.
Why not? And I think, and just to drop Ave here, because I'm such a big fan of what they're doing and what Stani is doing.
I agree.
Stani, and now I saw a video of there's going to be Avi ATMs at some point, right? And physical locations, like all that stuff makes so much sense in the grand scheme of things, right?
I'm talking to a company that does ATMs. And first of all, on the first thing, we're talking to a company about setting up at Mavs games when we can have fans. And part of the value add, we'll just get you, bring a laptop, early, come to the arena, and we'll set you up. And on ATMs, it's not about buying crypto. It's about getting your money out.
Sure.
Right. Because once you get it in there, the hardest thing to do is to turn it back into fiat and, cash, you can use it as a credit card. That's not necessarily difficult, but actually getting cash out is a hassle, because even using your ATM is so expensive, or using your credit card for cash is even more expensive. So the whole concept of ATMs is going to be interesting.
Yeah. And I think, look, COVID has accelerated this even more. I went and studied at USC, and I saw what they were doing over there. They no longer accept cash at specific storefronts, restaurants, whatever it may be. I think we're getting to a position where we're going completely cashless. The whole narrative of digital makes complete sense.
Well, I mean, if you look like a USDC, right? I mean, we lose money in every penny we make. The government loses money, $80 million a year on pennies, 50 million on pennies, 80 million on nickels, and I think 110 million on dimes. That pays for us to go to USDC right there and then.
Yeah.
Because that's an annual expense.
Do you think if the Federal Reserve doesn't hop on this digital currency, the CBDC trend, right, that's happening right now, do you think there's going to be at some point a new Federal Reserve that's strictly digital?
No, because everything that's like that will get taxed.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. And they're not that stupid, right? Remember, it's just like, PCs have been around for 40 years now. And the people that were the PC dinosaurs, the tech dinosaurs that just said no to everything, they're dead, right? And the crypto natives, the particularly Gen Z, not even millennials, right? But Gen Z, their most valuable assets are on their phone. Unless you have a house or a car, which Gen Z doesn't have the house yet, maybe has a car. Everything that you value, your brand is your Instagram or Snapchat or TikTok account, right? Everything that you've ever captured in your life that you find dear to you, you keep on your phone. And people scream and yell if they have to remove things from their phone if they run out of storage, right? And so that whole concept.
Legit me, like 3 weeks ago.
and that's why people don't, people my age don't fully understand that this is not a transition. This is not hard. This is natural. It's just that you don't understand it, know, and that's why Top Shots works. You don't want to deal with all the physical attributes of all this shit, right? Yeah. So there, it's going to change whether the feds deal with it or not. But I think, the next generation will make it easier and safer and better, and we'll see a USDC.
Amazing. I think that's a great place to leave off. Mark, cheers. Welcome to the booth. Thank you for being on the Boozer Tank.
It was the Boozer Tank, absolutely. Drunk Tank Friday nights on ABC. Brown sugar bourbon, always in your heart.
Let's do it. I love it, man. Wow, that was heavy. That was heavy. Amazing. Guys, thank you so much. Before I let you go, there's the whole networking segment right now of Blockchain and Booze that makes us the blockchain of the booze. come join this link over here, meet.blockchainbooze.io. And basically everybody that's been watching live, all these thousands of people, we get to meet, congregate, take shots, hang out, join, laugh, and just create madness with each other. So meet.blockchainbooze.io. Mark, I invite you to come as well. I know you're a busy guy. If you want to take some shots with random people,
I wish I could.
You're more than welcome to. But anyways, I'm going to let you go, Mark. You've been the man. Again, thank you. And I hope to have you again at some point.
Anytime, Adam. I appreciate it. It was a lot of
I
fun.
love it. All right. See you later. Yeah. Guys, before I let you go, a quick plug for Draper Going Home. You see Blockchain and Booze. I'm the host of this one, but we also have over 100 industry events that Draper Going Home is putting together throughout 2021. And a shameless plug, we have our flagship event, LA Blockchain Summit, happening November 2nd through 3rd. We have the Global DeFi Summit happening June 24th. And we have our upcoming Security Token Summit happening March 25th this month, about 3 weeks away. And of course, the one and only Alon Goran with What the Block every Friday at 9:30 a.m. You guys have been great. I hope to see everyone at the networking session right now. Thank you so much for tuning in, and cheers. So meet.blockchainbooze.io.